Picture this: early February 2026. A courtroom in Los Angeles, doors locked, proceedings sealed. And then, in the middle of what should have been just another boring financial dispute, Meghan Markle drops a line that would literally explode across the internet within hours. "I could have been a Middle Eastern princess by now." Yeah, you heard that right. Not whispered, not mumbled. Said out loud on record during a legal mediation with Prince Harry over their remaining assets. Now, here's where things get wild. What started as a simple money discussion turned into an international incident, faster than you can say, royal drama, because less than 24 hours later, the response came, and it didn't come quietly. Shaikha Moza, bint Nasser of Qatar, basically stepped into the ring and delivered what people are calling a diplomatic slap heard around the world. Her statement, absolutely devastating. She called Meghan's comments an insult to their culture, their women, their entire way of life. But she didn't stop there. Within hours, the United Arab Emirates straight up banned Meghan from entering Dubai. Not for a week, not for a month. They slapped her with a travel ban, lasting until at least the end of March, citing national security concerns and potential public disruption. Let that sink in for a second. A former royal, a global celebrity, banned from an entire country because of one sentence in a courtroom. The fallout was instant and absolutely brutal. The UAE's Ministry of Interior released an official document, stamped in red, announcing that Meghan's visa privileges had been suspended pending investigation. By the next afternoon, every major news outlet from Al Jazeera to The Guardian was running the story. Social media went absolutely nuclear. Hashtags were trending everywhere. People were dissecting every word, every implication, every layer of what she'd said. And here's what one Gulf Royal Affairs expert said that really cuts to the heart of it. Meghan didn't just overstep. She declared herself a princess of a world that never even considered her for that role. She did it without understanding anything about the religious, social, or political frameworks involved. That's not ambition. That's straight-up delusion. Now, Shaikha Moza's response was measured, calculated, and absolutely crushing. She made it crystal clear that no member of any Gulf royal family had ever, at any point, discussed marriage or any kind of union with Meghan. She explained that in their culture, royal titles aren't something you can just claim or use for personal branding. They're sacred. They're tied to faith, to family contracts, to deep spiritual commitments. You can't just slap that label on yourself because it sounds impressive. But let's rewind a bit. How did we even get here? According to people who were actually in that courtroom on February 5th, Meghan wasn't joking around. She was making a point about her brand value, about her global appeal, about what she could have been if she'd wanted. One legal aide who was present said she delivered the line like it was a flex, like she was proving how powerful and desirable she really is on the world stage. "I could have been a Middle Eastern princess if I wanted to," she reportedly said. "That's the level I operate at." The line got transcribed, filed, and then, somehow, it leaked to the press within hours. By that same evening, royal observers from 3 different Gulf states were already issuing warnings. One diplomat from Bahrain put it bluntly: if she thinks referencing our royal systems is going to boost her brand, she's completely misunderstood everything. But here's where the story gets even messier. Just days before that courtroom comment, something else happened that would add fuel to an already raging fire. On January 31st, a collection of previously unseen photos started circulating online. Crystal-clear images showing Meghan aboard ultra-luxury yachts in the Mediterranean. We're talking Monaco, Mykonos, the Turkish Riviera. The photos were dated somewhere between 2009 and 2012. And they weren't just glamorous vacation shots. They showed Meghan surrounded by some seriously connected people: Gulf state financiers, royal cousins, private security personnel, the kind of company that doesn't happen by accident. Investigative journalists immediately started asking questions. Where did these photos come from? Why now? One reporter noted that these images had been locked away in private collections for over a decade. The timing, just days before her courtroom declaration about royal ambitions, felt way too precise to be coincidence. Multiple sources have now confirmed that these yacht photos were supposed to be part of a strategic PR move. Meghan's team was planning a big lifestyle brand launch in Dubai in February, tied to some wellness collaboration. The idea was to show off her elite international connections, create buzz, make her look globally connected. Instead, the whole thing backfired spectacularly. By February 8th, the Dubai brand quietly pulled out of the partnership. Their press release was ice-cold, just one line about market sensitivity and cultural misalignment. At the same time, Netflix was forced to delay a documentary they'd scheduled for February 12th. This documentary was supposed to show Meghan's journey from Hollywood actress to duchess to global icon. The internal pitch called it a woman who broke every gate and claimed every title. Except now, that title was being publicly revoked. Shaikha Moza's statement on February 6th really drove the point home. She emphasized that in the Islamic world, royal titles aren't decorative. They're sacred contracts rooted in faith and tradition. She made three things absolutely clear. First, no Gulf royal family member had ever engaged Meghan in any serious personal or marriage discussions. Second, Islamic royal systems don't even permit marriage to women who've been previously married multiple times, especially outside the faith. And third, using Gulf royalty as a branding tool isn't just offensive. It's destabilizing. She even referenced a statement Princess Anne had made back in 2023, warning that Meghan's careless references to royal diplomacy were straining relationships between the British royal family and Middle Eastern allies. Shaikha Moza wrapped up her statement with this: "Our people value humility, discretion, and respect for sacred tradition. These aren't props for reinvention. They're principles we live by, precise, unapologetic." Now, as outrage swept through Gulf circles and international media, Meghan's team went into full damage control mode. But what followed wasn't a smooth recovery. It was a total meltdown. Insiders confirm that Meghan personally authorized a covert media strategy in those first 48 hours. Her team started reaching out to friendly journalists, editors, PR writers, offering exclusive access to unreleased Netflix content in exchange for softening the narrative. She didn't want silence. One British media strategist revealed. She wanted a carefully crafted version of the story that painted her as misunderstood, misquoted, unfairly targeted. But nobody took the bait. Two major outlets, The Times and Variety, publicly declined to run alternative perspective pieces, citing editorial integrity. As criticism mounted, Meghan's own media team started falling apart. Leaked internal memos show key members of her Dubai and LA PR teams expressing serious concerns about the direction things were heading. They requested emergency meetings on February 8th and 9th, and Meghan, she refused to take responsibility. According to a former consultant, she blamed everyone else, said the team misread the market, misjudged cultural dynamics, let the narrative slip away. But the truth is, she personally directed this entire campaign. Documents show Meghan signed off on a plan in late January to lean into this whole aspirational global royalty branding. Those yacht photos, released under the instruction of her digital strategy lead, the goal was to create some mystique around her elite past connections before launching the Dubai wellness product. But they missed one critical thing: cultural awareness. And her problems weren't just limited to Dubai. That long-awaited Netflix project, tentatively titled Becoming Meghan: From Hollywood to Global Voice, was supposed to drop its first teaser on February 12th. But Netflix executives started panicking. The show was now looking potentially dishonest. Worse, Meghan's recent comments had exposed the company to possible diplomatic backlash from Gulf content partners. By February 10th, the decision was made. The project got put on indefinite hold. The team was reassigned. Promotional materials were pulled. Press events were cancelled with zero explanation. One anonymous Netflix marketing lead said they were ready to launch a global campaign. Then the whole princess fantasy exploded. And suddenly everyone wanted out. Within a single week, Meghan lost the Dubai partnership and the cornerstone of her spring rebrand, a multi-million-dollar Netflix series. Meanwhile, the internet was having a field day. Social media sleuths started comparing those yacht photos to Meghan's often repeated struggling actress narrative. The contradictions were glaring. One viral TikTok put it perfectly. She claimed she was barely surviving in Los Angeles, but she was sipping champagne on the deck of a $40 million yacht in Sardinia. That's not hustle. That's access. People were seeing what palace insiders and royal watchers had whispered about for years. Meghan's rise wasn't just luck and talent. It was strategy, connections, quiet privilege repackaged as hardship. The photos showed her mingling with global financiers, power brokers from Monaco, Riyadh, Ankara. One particularly damaging image captured her standing beside a cousin of a Gulf royal family member, someone later identified in regional security briefings as a known gatekeeper to high-level private events. Since February 6th, Meghan has been completely silent. No clarification, no legal response, no official statement. Some say it's strategic, a pause before launching a counteroffensive. Others argue it signals total internal collapse with no strategy left. As of mid-February, Meghan remains banned from the UAE. Her Dubai initiative is dead, her Netflix momentum has evaporated, and her carefully crafted self-made narrative is under intense scrutiny. The biggest questions are still hanging in the air. Who funded those yacht appearances? Who opened those doors? And what other secrets are waiting to surface? Let's talk about the allies who've gone quiet. Because that silence is deafening. Among the most striking exits are two names that once stood as Meghan's loudest defenders: Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry. Remember 2021? Oprah hosted that bombshell Sussex interview, giving Meghan the global platform to challenge the royal institution. Tyler Perry publicly offered the couple housing and security as they left royal life. At the time, these felt like acts of loyalty, protecting someone portrayed as vulnerable and unfairly vilified. Fast forward 5 years. That narrative has completely fractured. Insiders at Oprah's production company confirm no new projects involving Meghan have been considered since late 2023, despite persistent outreach from Meghan's team. The reason? Reputational misalignment. A source from Harpo Productions put it plainly. Oprah values stories of resilience and transformation, but only when they're rooted in integrity. When past inconsistencies and brand manipulation start dominating headlines, it reflects poorly on everyone involved. Meghan's attempts to secure a follow-up interview in January 2026, focused on her misunderstood ambition, were quietly declined. There was no appetite for a redemption arc, one network source said. Not when every new headline contradicted the last story she told. For the first time in 5 years, Oprah isn't taking Meghan's calls. Tyler Perry's fallout has been even more dramatic. It started quietly in late November 2025, when Perry reportedly backed out of a financial pledge tied to a documentary Meghan was pitching. Then came whispers that Perry's legal team had requested clarification on repayment terms for a past private loan, extended during the couple's relocation in 2020. The sum was said to exceed 7 figures, including security costs and housing support. By early February, a redacted financial summary filed in California County Court listed Meghan as an involved party in a pending lien negotiation, believed to relate to property expenses. One legal consultant said, "It's no longer about generosity, it's about accountability." And Tyler is drawing a line. Here's the thing, for years, Meghan maintained this public narrative of starting from the bottom, fighting rejection and obscurity as a biracial woman in Hollywood. But critics say her story has evolved into a carefully designed illusion, a blend of partial truths and deliberately omitted advantages. The yacht photos, alongside the breakdown of her celebrity relationships, have exposed that duality was celebrity relationships, have exposed that duality a woman who publicly scorned elite systems, while quietly benefiting from their privileges. One royal commentator summarized it perfectly. She framed herself as self-made, but she was always connected. She didn't climb the ladder. She was lifted by it, then claimed she built it. In December 2025, the Financial Post published a report estimating Meghan's actual liquid net worth had decreased by nearly 40% since 2023. Failed ventures, mounting legal fees, excessive brand expansion without stable revenue. Independent investigations revealed at least 3 deferred payments to contracted service providers in Dubai, 2 of whom are now pursuing litigation. Look at the pattern in Meghan's professional life. Intense alliances followed by abrupt exits, often amid financial disputes. 2020. 1. Ties with Vogue. Editors reportedly soured over image control disagreements. 2020. Spotify canceled her podcast. Dia after underperformance. 2023. Multiple Archuel executives resigned, citing creative interference and unpaid bonuses. Late 2025. Her newly hired Dubai media strategist resigned within 8 weeks. The resignation note cited unrealistic demands, tone-deaf strategy, and disregard for cultural nuance. One former contractor commented, "It's always the same pattern. She sells a story, micromanages the narrative, then blames everyone when it falls apart." Meanwhile, voices inside the British royal family have grown cautiously vindicated. An editorial in The Telegraph suggested Princess Anne's 2023 warning about Meghan potentially destabilizing royal relations with Middle Eastern allies was not only accurate but prophetic. Diplomatic insiders confirmed that at least 2 embassies have contacted Buckingham Palace recently to reaffirm ongoing partnerships and distance themselves from Meghan's statements. Now, let's talk about Shaikha Moza's statement again, because its impact goes way beyond just a personal rebuke. It became a definitive cultural and diplomatic boundary line, and it's still echoing across Middle Eastern media, royal households, political circles. "Titles in our world are not ornamental," she said. "They are sacred contracts rooted in faith, family, and fidelity to tradition. No outsider can claim what has never been offered." Within 24 hours, that statement had been translated into 9 languages, reposted thousands of times, quoted by every major Arabic news outlet in the Gulf. Only 3 years ago, Meghan's name was whispered among elite Gulf circles as a potential cultural bridge. Some viewed her as a possible ambassador for philanthropic diplomacy, discussing hypothetical roles in women's education or refugee rights initiatives. All that changed overnight. A quiet but firm institutional distancing began. The Bahrain Women's Council withdrew an event invitation. A Kuwaiti cultural consortium declined to move forward on a dialogue Meghan had proposed. The Abu Dhabi Royal Foundation formally stated it had no current or future plans involving her. One Gulf academic put it bluntly, this wasn't cultural misunderstanding. This was entitlement cloaked in ignorance, weaponized for personal branding. Online, the backlash has been relentless. Influencers and political commentators flooded TikTok and X with clips dissecting Meghan's remarks, reposting archival footage, drawing sharp lines between real royal dignity and Western celebrity mimicry. Hashtags dominated Arabic platforms. For days, users created side-by-side comparison videos between Shaikha Moza's composed leadership and Meghan's media-centric trajectory. A viral tweet from a respected UAE commentator read, "Shaikha Moza earned her place through faith, loyalty, and sacrifice. Meghan tried to buy hers through illusion and entitlement. There's the difference." The ripple effects are now reaching back into Britain. Royal watchers note that Princess Anne's warning has been vindicated with surgical precision. One Middle Eastern policy advisor based in London commented that these aren't mere headlines, they're signals. When someone as revered as Shaikha Moza speaks, doors close quietly and permanently. Perhaps most striking, no public figure or government body in the West has stepped in to defend Meghan. Not the State Department, not the UN, not even charitable organizations she once aligned with. The silence is deafening. Now let's dig into the Yacht years, because this is where things get really murky. Those crystal-clear photos eased in late January have forced everyone to ask some uncomfortable questions. Who gave Meghan access to these ultra-luxury vessels? Who funded it? What exactly was exchanged behind the scenes? Because the answer isn't just glamour. It's a complex web of elite introductions, commercial grooming, financial facilitation disguised as networking. The photos first appeared on January 30th on a relatively obscure forum for luxury maritime historians. Within 12 hours, they'd been verified and shared everywhere. Meghan appears in at least 7 distinct high-end yacht environments: Monaco, Mykonos, Bodrum, the Amalfi Coast. But it's the company she's keeping that's really damning. Facial recognition analysts and royal watchers identified several key figures. There's a Saudi luxury investment broker, long tied to discreet introductions between European celebrities and Gulf elites, a Qatari media fixer, once affiliated with talent procurement for ultra-private lifestyle summits, a lesser-known royal cousin, from a Gulf emirate whose yacht was spotted docked next to the one Meghan, boarded in early summer 2010. These aren't household names, but they're powerful gatekeepers in elite networking circles, and Meghan wasn't there by accident. According to multiple insiders, Meghan's entry into this world was facilitated through agency-backed social contracts, a covert, highly selected process where promising women with media appeal were vetted, styled, introduced into elite gatherings under strict discretion. One Paris-based fashion scout, who worked with an affiliated consultancy in 2011, revealed the system. "It's not what people think," she said. "It's presentation." Women like Meghan were selected for elegance, charm, discretion. They were introduced, never named, publicly, and everyone understood the rules. Those rules included no public photos, no social media tags, no recorded conversations, which makes the January 2026 leak absolutely explosive. Someone on the inside clearly decided to break protocol. Their motive, revenge, exposure, or simply a desire to end the myth. Here's where it gets financially interesting. Review of Meghan's tax records from 2009 to 2012, made available through court filings from a business dispute, reveal no income substantial enough to afford multiple international yacht tours, private chefs, custom designer wardrobes, first-class flights across Europe. So who paid for it? Banking sources in Geneva and Dubai hint at third-party expense accounts linked to personal enrichment events, often paid by hosts, as hospitality offerings not taxable unless formally contracted. These events, spanning retreats, conferences, VIP wellness gatherings, became hotbeds for strategic mingling between wealthy men and rising influencers. While Meghan has never publicly acknowledged this phase of her life, the evidence is pretty strong. Flight logs, social proximity to elite event hosts, timeline inconsistencies, all pointing to the fact that she was sponsored, a source close to a Mediterranean charter agency. Confirmed, there were names you couldn't speak aloud, and Meghan became one of them. Not because she was scandalous, but because she played it smart, never overstepped, never confirmed anything. That's how you survive in that circuit. Once she married into the British royal family, Meghan swiftly began sanitizing her narrative, painting herself as a Hollywood outsider who clawed her way into visibility through pure grit. No mention of Monaco summers, no reference to elite wellness festiva in Doha or Sardinia, no hint of financial facilitators. The narrative became simple and tidy. Small-town girl, cable actress, fairy tale duchess. But those yacht images shattered that story completely. It was never about struggle. One Middle Eastern columnist remarked, it was about access and the people who granted it. Meghan didn't just have ambition. She had sponsorship. And she buried that part of her past until someone unburied it for her. This revelation carries geopolitical weight in the Gulf. Family honor, discretion, relationship boundaries are sacred. For Meghan to profit off past associations while denying them is seen not just as deceptive, but dishonorable. Shaikha Moza's rebuke wasn't just personal, it was institutional. A warning that royal networks aren't a ladder to climb, but a circle to be invited into and respected, and now Meghan stands on the outside of that circle, cut off, exposed, publicly corrected. 3 weeks ago, Meghan stood on the verge of a dual relaunch, an upcoming Netflix series poised to recast her as an inspirational force, unapologetic, unshakable, untouchably self-made. Today, both projects are dead. And the public, diplomatic financial backlash has left the Meghan Markle brand not merely damaged, but fundamentally discredited. The irony is brutal. In trying to elevate herself through myth, she may have ensured that no influential institution, royal, corporate, or diplomatic, will ever trust her again. In 14 days, Meghan has lost access to the UAE, support from former allies, her Netflix series, multiple Gulf partnerships, public goodwill across the Middle East, and increasingly among Western audiences. Her entire media ecosystem was built on one premise, that she was a misunderstood outsider, who beat impossible odds. The yacht photos, court leaks, financial exposures. Shaikha Moza's rebuke, they didn't just disrupt the myth, they dismantled its foundation. Throughout this storm, Buckingham Palace has made no public comment, but sources close to senior royals confirm that Princess Anne, Prince William, King Charles have been closely monitoring everything. A former palace advisor noted, there's a quiet vindication at play. Years of warnings about Meghan's narrative control, her strategic associations, her disregard for diplomatic nuance are now being confirmed by people outside the crown. Princess Anne, in particular, is said to have referenced the Shaikha Moza fallout in private meetings as a lesson in long-term reputational consequences. One diplomatic insider went further. When Gulf royals publicly disassociate from someone, the rest of the world takes notice. Meghan didn't just lose face, she lost stature. In the court of public opinion, the tide has turned. Gone are the sympathetic hashtags. In their place, scrutiny, mockery, outright rejection. On TikTok, creators now contrast Meghan's recent silence with her previously verbose public appearances, asking why now, when the evidence is visual and verifiable, is she not speaking? One viral thread put it simply: if this were just slander, she'd sue. If it were false, she'd issue a statement. But there's nothing, just silence. That's not dignity. That's exposure. Across media platforms in the UK, Gulf states, even the US, Meghan's self-made woman story is being dissected. The consensus is harsh but clear. She used power, access, privilege, then denied ever needing them. With her reputation in freefall, Meghan now faces three critical challenges. First, reputation recovery. Any new project will carry the baggage of this scandal. Potential collaborators must weigh media volatility, diplomatic risk, documented history of image manipulation. Second, legal consequences. With financial leaks, unpaid debts, contract dissolutions, mounting civil litigation looms both in California and internationally. UAE-based vendors and media partners are reportedly reviewing legal options. Third, permanent social exile. Perhaps the most devastating cost: loss of trust among international elites. That door, once cracked open, is now slammed shut. As one senior Emirati commentator said, "You can lose money and recover. You can lose deals and rebuild. But once you lose trust in our world, you are invisible." It was Meghan herself who declared in court, "I could have been a Middle Eastern princess by now." She believed it would enhance her bargaining power, reinforce her global appeal, reframe her next act. Instead, it triggered a diplomatic firestorm, a media inquisition, the collapse of a carefully curated lie. What remains is a cautionary tale. When your empire is built on image rather than integrity, all it takes is one misstep and one unflinching voice of truth to bring it down. In this case, that voice belonged to Shaikha Moza bint Nasser, and her message will echo far longer than Meghan's silence ever could. So there you have it. A story about ambition, deception, and the moment when carefully constructed narratives finally crumble. If this breakdown gave you a new perspective on how celebrity branding can backfire spectacularly, hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into stories the mainstream media glosses over. And drop a comment below. What do you think? Was this a calculated risk gone wrong, or inevitable karma? Let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.